Glacial Drumlin Connector Trail Inc. Long name. So, you develop a name by committee, and that's what happens. But we shorten it up to just Friends of the Connector Trail, and that works too. On your checks, by the way. Some quick thank yous. Cambridge Winery for hosting this event. Appreciate it. Good facility. Cambridge Village Board for backing us on this project financially and also acting as our fiscal agent. Town and Country Engineers for the design and construction oversight. Nelson Excavating, they're the ones doing the project, and they kind of helped out here too with the Bobcat and whatnot. And Dane County Health is here as well. They've set up a COVID vaccination clinic here, mobile one. Thank you for that. By the way, if you're not vaccinated, here's your chance. They're right out there. So you can get your choice too of what vaccine you want. Special thanks go out to, of course, Dane County Parks for that park grant. It was the largest grant they awarded in 2019. So we really appreciate their support. Vineyards at Cambridge, the Dancing Goat Distillery, Invenergy Solar Energy Company put some money toward us. Cambridge Foundation, they're always good supporters of us. Jefferson County Parks, and then a number of private donations. And then, of course, finally, the Wisconsin DNR, the stewardship grant that got us the rest of the way here. So real quick, I'm just going to mention who's going to come on up and talk rather than do an introduction for each one to keep things moving along. Our new Dane County Sheriff, Kelvin Barrett, is here. If he could wave, he's way in the back. He's the 6'6" guy, you can't miss him. Thanks for coming out, Derek. So if you want to meet him, go. He's here to hear your complaints right now. Accolades. Former Dane County Supervisor Bob Saloff, and he's also on our committee. Dane County Parks Director Jolene Stinson. Did Jolene make it? Yeah, she's here. All right, Jolene, thank you. Retired State Representative and current educator Spencer Black. Acting Secretary of Tourism Ann Sayers. Okay. President Dane County Parks Foundation Bill Lenny, sitting right there. And two more, the former director of Shawamagon Fat Tire Festival, Gary Crandall. And he will introduce our guest of honor, Phil Van Valkenberg. So, without further ado, we're going to turn over to Bob Saloff. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Fabulous.
I have one purpose today. Okay, I have one purpose today. Can you hear me back there? You got to hear me because this is important. This has to do with money. Okay, so we got the first phase funded, which is awesome. We need some bucks. Please leave a check. We have credit card accepting at the front desk there, and we'd love to have your participation financially. And we'll come around and we have a little basket to help you out with that. So I appreciate you all coming today, and that's my speech.
Yay, Bob!
Oh, yeah, well, I suppose I mentioned the auction. We have some things that are on eBay, some of the bicycles that are high-end, and then we have a silent auction. Please do your bidding. It's not what you're getting for value, it's what you're donating to this organization. And it is a 501, so it's tax deductible, and we'd like to settle all accounts before you leave today. So make sure you look over all the prizes, bid on them, and hopefully we can get some money together to support this effort, because we still have a mile and a half to go. That mile and a half, so I don't know if Steve explained it, but we've got this covered all the way through off-road, all the way up to the State Farm Road. From there, it's a little jog on Farm Road and up to Prairie Road to the glacier. We're going to get a line straight up off-road, but that's what we need your donations for, so we can get going. I don't expect to raise another 500,000 or 450, but we do have to get enough money to do the planning and to do festivities and to really get the word out to the big donors.
Hi everybody, my name's Jolene Stinson and I'm the interim director for Dane County Parks. I feel like I'm stealing the show here because the man who did all of the work, Darren Marsh, recently retired. He's in the back too. So you can thank him more than me. But I can say that it's really inspiring to see so many volunteers, elected officials, community organizations, and different governments come together to work on projects like this. And I love seeing such a good turnout here today. So our regional bike trails make such a difference in the communities like yours where we are in, and for people who live a little farther away too. So I'm so inspired by the hard work and years that went into this. And I have 3 little boys here with me today. They're being quiet right now, but they're full of energy, and I can't wait to ride this trail with them when they get old enough and it gets done. So thanks to you for putting all of this effort into planning and now building. And then Spencer Black.
Georgia?
No.
Georgia.
No. I can think of nothing more appropriate than giving Phil a beer.
Yeah!
I've done that before. Good afternoon. You know, when I first came to Wisconsin almost half a century ago, one of the very first things I bought was a bicycle from Yellow Jersey, which Phil helped found. And one of the very first books I bought, maybe the very first, was a little volume called Wisconsin Bike Trips. 20 routes, 20 tours for young and old.
Nice.
I was kind of young back then. And to get to know my new state, I went on many of those 20 routes that Phil laid out. So I guess in large measure, because of Phil, I was a Wisconsin bike tourist. So that's why I find it so appropriate when I saw an article the other day that called Phil the father of Wisconsin bike tourism. And it's also why I find it very appropriate that our special guest today is the secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Tourism, Ann Sayers. I first got to know Ann when I was in the state legislature, and she was a very effective and persistent advocate for protecting our environment. And I think it's just great that she's now the Secretary of Tourism, having people come to enjoy our Wisconsin outdoors, I hope on the seat of a bicycle. So please give a warm welcome to our outstanding Wisconsin Secretary of the Department of Tourism, Ann Sayers.
It's such an honor to be introduced by Spencer Black, who's been a hero of mine and a mentor of mine my entire career. Thank you so much, Spencer. You guys look good. This is a great turnout. This is amazing.
Pee-wee, 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 pee-wee.
I'm so honored to join you today for this dedication and groundbreaking of the Phil Van Valkenberg CamRock to Glacial Drumlin Connector Bike and Hike Trail. Friends of the Connector Trail for checks, I hear. There's no better part of my job than celebrating what makes Wisconsin's tourism offerings so exceptional, which is, of course, the people. Phil's legacy of research, writing, mapping, developing programs, and making connections to the economic impact generated by this industry is both impressive and inspiring. I truly am humbled to be here to share the Department of Tourism's appreciation for everything Phil has done to help shape Wisconsin as a premier cycling destination. As you know, Phil has far too many accomplishments for me to be able to share them all today, so I want to highlight a few though. Phil wrote 8 books about cycling in Wisconsin and the Midwest, as well as 7 state biking guides for our very own Department of Tourism.
Nice.
He helped create the Elroy Sparta State Trail, the first rail trail in Wisconsin. He was part of organizing the Chequamegon Fat Tire Festival, one of the longest running mountain bike races in the country. Phil, thank you for your vision, your dedication, and your tireless efforts to enhance the opportunities for others to share in an activity that you love. Outdoor recreation is consistently one of the leading reasons people come to visit Wisconsin. And when someone plans a trip around our outdoor recreation offering, it means much more to the state than just a simple bike ride. Bicycling contributes $1.4 billion with a B annually to the state's economy and provides more than 13,000 jobs.
Wow.
The impact of outdoor recreation on our state's economy grows as you consider all that goes into a day on the trails. The gear that was designed and manufactured here, the retailers that sold the equipment, the restaurants cyclists often stop at along the way, and so much more. Even better, many visitors build a bike ride into a part of a larger itinerary that can include overnight stays, which we love, and other activities. This connection between outdoor recreation and the economy, a connection Phil understood and promoted long before many, was the driving force behind the creation of the Wisconsin Office of Outdoor Recreation in 2019, which I'm very happy to say is housed within the Wisconsin Department of Tourism. We were the 14th state in the nation to have such an office dedicated to outdoor recreation. We were one of the very first in the Midwest, and we're one of only 2 still to this day where the Office of Outdoor Recreation lives within tourism. Now, with a good year plus under its belt, the Office of Outdoor Recreation is leading the way in centering outdoor recreation and connecting all the surrounding dots between workforce attraction and employee retention, economic growth, citizen wellness, and natural resource stewardship. As an example, and I think very relevant to the interests of those in attendance today, the office recently launched the Wisconsin Trail Report, an online report of the latest trail conditions for hiking and biking trail networks statewide. I think Phil's probably pretty excited to hear that the report not only reports on conditions, but it also provides suggestions of nearby hotels and restaurants and attractions to help further drive economic impact through hiking and biking. When I spoke with Mary Monroe Brown, she's the director of the Office of Outdoor Recreation, about this event today, the first thing out of her mouth was, that's so cool, Phil is a legend. Mary spoke so passionately and fondly of the work Phil has done to put Wisconsin on the map as a bike destination. From her time working at Trek, where she signed Trek as the first ever title sponsor for the Chequamegon Fat Tire Festival, to her current work for the Office of Outdoor Rec. It's clear to see her appreciation runs deep. That is true too, of course, for long-timers at the Department of Tourism like David Spiegelberg, who's worked with Phil over the years, Drew Nussbaum, who is joining me here today. We know and understand the contributions Phil has made that are so deep to tourism. I am so grateful to Phil and this group of dedicated individuals for living and promoting the values of the Office of Outdoor Recreation, the Wisconsin Department of Tourism, and the whole state of Wisconsin. Thoughtful investments in resources and trail networks like this CamRock to Glacial Drumlin Connector Trail help make bike trips even more seamless and accessible. And I look forward to the benefits this connectivity brings to Cambridge and the surrounding communities, making our state's tourism offering even stronger for residents and visitors alike. Thank you for having me here to join in this celebration of Phil, of the new bike trail, and of cycling in Wisconsin.
I'd like to introduce our next next guest is Bill Lunny. Bill is a president of the Dane County Parks Foundation, and he has a message for you. Well, my name is Bill Lunny, and I had the honor of chairing the County Park Commission for 30 years. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I'll try to talk softly with this microphone. It's an honor to be here today and to join this group of people who have already spoken, but more importantly, the wonderful community that we have. It's extraordinary and very important. As former chair of the County Parks Commission, and now president of the foundation of Dane County Parks, it's always amazing to me how people love parks and how people love trails. This occasion, as you've already heard very eloquently, will link CamRock County Park to the Glacial Drumlin Trail. And that is an extremely important thing that we in Dane County have been working on for years, and eventually to the far western parts of our state. Just think about that. It's actually mind-boggling, and how fitting it is to be named in honor of Wisconsin's bicycling legend, Phil Van Valkenberg. As Steve mentioned earlier, these projects take years of planning and leadership to complete. The formal planning began over 10 years ago, and undoubtedly it had been in people's dreams many years before that. The success we are celebrating today is a perfect example of those partnerships. It took the leadership of County Executive Joe Parisi and the County Board, 2 grants from our County Park Commission, and the tireless work of former County Supervisor Bob Saloff, and more currently, the County Supervisor Kate McGinnity to help it make it happen. But it needs more partners than that. It needed a boost from the Friends of CamRock Trail Connector and strong support from the Village of Cambridge with its president, Steve Truss. This area has been blessed for many decades with the philanthropic support of this community, including the extraordinary Cambridge Foundation, as well as Jefferson County Parks. And I remember speaking a few years ago to an earlier event where we were just talking about the beginning of this and how excited we were then and how important it is today. And what I'm also pleased about is the role of friends groups. These friends groups help make this happen, and they provide the fabric for the operation of our parks and trails throughout Dane County. And as president of the Foundation of Dane County Parks, we are supporting those friends groups through many, many activities. I love working with this community. In my experience of over 50 years of local conservation, this area has always been on the forefront of conservation and community involvement. And for that, I ask you to all give yourself applause for that. But trails are more than pavement. They are more than gravel. They unite communities. This trail connector will eventually unite through recreation corridors our communities in southeastern Dane County, western Jefferson County to the major urban areas of our state. It will connect the natural resources and the beautiful natural resources of Dane County's beautiful 400-acre CamRock County Park and similar parks in Jefferson County to expand recreation and education to many more thousands of people and provide economic benefit and give access to good, healthy recreational activities. Parks and trails are destinations for visitors, tourists, and to promote better health. Dane County Parks alone attracts over 4 million visitors a year, and this connector will be a significant driver. I hope eventually it will be part of a larger corridor system in the area that will go all the way from here down to Silverwood County Park on the western side of Dane County and eventually link with parks in Rock County and Jefferson County. As our population grows and diversifies, we are truly becoming more regional. We're putting together a necklace of green in Dane County, linking our communities and parks for the enjoyment of our citizens for decades in the future. With this and other links, that necklace has been forged even more strongly today. So we're proud of this partnership. Parks and trails are not just a piece of land. They are for people to recreate, relax, and reflect while enjoying nature's bounty. Thank you again for this special community
for all your dedication that has made this happen today and beyond. Many thousands of people in the future will appreciate what you have alone started and what we're celebrating today. Thank you.
Yeah, woo!
So our next speaker is Gary
Oh,
Crandall.
turned off. Turned it off. Turned it off. Turn on the mic.
Gary Crandall, here.
Yay, Gary! This is Gary's phone. He's getting himself.
Nice job, buddy.
You broke it.
Nice job.
I know a cable maker.
I thought he retired.
retired.
You forgot. Have another one. You'll be short of work tomorrow.
Here with us. So far, so good.
Where's the AV tech?
Oh no, he shorted. Somehow he shorted.
Oh, no.
He knocked all the microphones out.
Oh no, so now what do you do?
The power to the amplifier.
Oh, sure.
While we're waiting, how about a nice little round of Pee-wee, Pee-wee,
Yeah, everybody.
We know how to fill time. So like many of us, I've known Phil since the early 70s. And just remembering anything from the early 70s is a challenge, of course. And, but not as a friend at first. At first I was a customer of his and also a student of what he was promoting. As a customer, I purchased my first road bike from him at the Yellow Jersey, a $99 Jeton, and later a Campy-equipped Motobacan Grand Record, which I put many miles in. And I still own, although my son painted it and I'll never forgive him for that. Then, as a student, I followed his hand-drawn maps to learn of some of Wisconsin's hidden gems, like Susie the Duck in Lodi.
Oh, Lodi,
I
yeah.
would have never known about Susie if I hadn't followed Phil's route over to Devil's Lake or the Merrimack Ferry. I didn't know that was there. The most important thing I learned from Phil's maps on that route to Devil's Lake was to watch out for the large collie at the farm at the base of Gibraltar Rock. It was marked on the map. And another thing I learned from Phil, and this was more for an urban ride, and this was a good tip for later on, and it had to do with the Fat Tire Tour Milwaukee, was how would you disguise a quarter barrel as a female passenger in the sidecar of your Queen of Sheba bike and not get busted? And he set the standard for that. So the next chapter in our relationship, Phil was a customer of mine. I was a bartender at the Crystal Corner Bar, the last part of my professional career in Madison on Willie Street. And it was here one night at the Crystal, and I just knew Phil, just, as from going to the Jersey. He and I both said we were finally, after many years, leaving Madison, which was a big deal, because we'd been in Madison for a long time. Neither one of us said where we were going, just that was probably the last time we were going to see each other. The very next week, I'm walking down the hallway at Telemark, the then thriving Telemark, and who do I see in the hallway but Phil? He had gone to work for the entrepreneurial visionary Tony Wise, and I had moved up north to live in sin and later marry and raise a family with a beautiful artistic lady who lived at the end of the power line. And that is where our friendship really began. was way in the very northern part of Wisconsin. We're pretty far south here, so you're, as far as Jerry and I got like a 6-hour drive to go home tonight. Here we became longtime friends. He taught me how to ride fast on the rolling pavement of Lake Owen Drive. If you've ever been on the Firehouse route, that's a beautiful drive. He taught me how to explore peacefully in the woods on a mountain bike without getting lost. Although we did carry whistles so that when we got separated, we could kind of find each other. And amazingly, as a mechanic, he taught me how to fix a broken chain using a rock. You remember that, Pee-wee? Fixing the chain with the rock. Phil's skill as a cyclist, mechanic, route finder, storyteller has shaped our two-wheeled lifestyle way up north in Cable, Sealy, and Hayward, Wisconsin from the very beginning. The creation of the Shawama Mamas Bicycle Club, of which I am a member and have been. He was one of the originators of the Shawamigan Fat Tire Festival, which I was very thankful for because that turned into my job for 35 years. I didn't have a job when I moved up north. And he was also the inspiration for many other events and organizations. Shawamigan Area Mountain Bike Association sprung up 10 years after Shawamigan Fat Tire started, and their legacy up north is amazing. And all of that grew simply from Phil getting people to get on their bicycles. That's all it took. Phil, you've always been, and you'll always be, Wisconsin's Mr. Bicycle. I hope I get through this. Your passion for the sport has touched so many. Look around you. Raise your hand if you've been touched or are a friend of Phil Van Valkenberg.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you didn't raise your hand. You have helped build active sports communities, embracing a healthy lifestyle, encouraging economic growth, while enjoying two-wheeled adventure across the entire state. From this, your hometown of Cambridge, to the very top of the state in Cable in southern Bayfield Crowning, and everywhere in between, you've made Wisconsin a top cycling destination to escape by bicycle. Thank you, family, friends, and dignitaries for being here today. We are all so much richer for our association with Phil. And Phil, thanks from all of us for being such a great friend, and congratulations on being the namesake of the Phil Van Valkenberg Trail. And before we go for a ride later, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Phil Van Valkenberg.
Yeah. Love you, Dad.
My name, don't wear it out. So for me, it all started here in Cambridge. This will always be Van's Trail to me because my parents, Bill and Nancy, ran Van's shoe store and shoe repair on Main Street for 30 years. And on my 10th birthday in 1955, we all lived in an apartment up on the second floor of the shoe store. I'm sure it was a Saturday because on Saturdays it was my responsibility to go down into the store and sweep it out with some awful stuff called sweeping compound, which is basically oil sawdust. And I got down there and there was a brand new red Schwinn Spitfire. Whoa. And what I didn't know was that my dad had already arranged for me to have a Milwaukee Journal paper out. In those days, the Sunday Milwaukee Journal weighed about as much as a Volkswagen. So I got a call from Bob Salem this spring to tell me that the trail committee had decided to name this first phase of the connector trail. We need to get something straight. This connector trail is going to go from Cambridge to suburban Crowville. But it's going to put other communities like Lake Mills is going to be eight miles away. Before I had my first stroke, I biked across Belgium and Holland, and mainly on bike trails. And nobody is forced to ride a bike over there. People ride a bike because it's the most convenient way to get around, and it's very safe. And I think that's what we're coming to here in Dane County, is a system like that. The only book of mine that we know is still in print is the official Rails to Trails Conservancy Guide for Wisconsin. And the biggest thing if you're a writer is being sure that you're going to get paid before you write anything. And fortunately, the writing that I did for this tourism department paid quite well. So if you want to get published, the first book I wrote, I co-authored with a friend named Doug Scheidel. It was called Bicycle Escape Routes, a touring guide for Wisconsin. It came with a set of 4 maps, which were handmade, that covered the entire state. And at that time, racing was not the biggest thing in bicycling. It was self-sustained bike touring. And every magazine would have 1 or more articles in it about bicycle touring. And what has happened in Europe is that, like in Holland, they're the healthiest population in the world according to the World Health Organization. And they attribute it to a population that loves to bike. And in case you haven't heard,